dust motes danced in the slanting rays of the setting sun. A blood-red sun sinking below the horizon, casting long, ominous shadows across the dusty town. This wasn't just a sunset, it was a warning. Night was coming, and with it the creatures of darkness. This was their domain, their rules, their law. This was cartel territory. The air, thick with the smell of fear and desperation, clung to you like a shroud. Here, in this forgotten corner of the world, the cartel's grip was absolute. They were the judge, jury, and executioner. Their power seeped into every crevice of life, a suffocating blanket of dread. You could feel it in the frightened glances of the townspeople, in the hurried footsteps echoing in the deserted streets. Survival depended on obedience. One wrong look, one word out of place could be a death sentence. The locals knew this. They had seen the consequences. The unmarked graves on the outskirts of town served as a grim reminder. Lives extinguished, families shattered, all for the sake of the insatiable hunger for power and profit. This was their reality, a reality where hope was a flickering candle in the ever-present darkness. And tonight we delve into that darkness. We journey into the heart of the cartel's domain, a place where life is cheap and death is the only certainty. The cartel's territory wasn't marked on any map, no official borders, no checkpoints, but everyone knew where it began and ended. It was a silent understanding, an unspoken agreement etched in blood and fear. Cross the wrong street corner, associate with the wrong people, and you were in their domain. Sometimes it was a physical boundary, a river, a highway, the edge of a town. More often it was an invisible line drawn in the sand, shifting with the whims of the cartel bosses. Their word was law, and their law was absolute. Within these invisible borders, the cartel operated with impunity. They controlled everything: the drug trade, the local businesses, the police, even the government officials. Their tentacles reached into every aspect of life, suffocating any attempt at resistance. To defy them was to invite death. Stories circulated of those who dared to challenge the cartel's authority, farmers who refused to give up their land, journalists who exposed their crimes, ordinary people who simply got in the way. Their fates were a brutal warning to anyone foolish enough to question the cartel's power. The stories clung to this land like ghosts. Whispers of lives lost, families torn apart, all because of the cartel's ruthlessness. There was Miguel, the shopkeeper who refused to pay their exorbitant protection fees. His shop was burned to the ground, his family forced to flee in the dead of night. Then there was Isabella, a young journalist who dared to write about the cartel's atrocities. Her articles shone a light on their brutality, but her courage came at a steep price. She disappeared one night, her fate a chilling mystery. These weren't just isolated incidents, they were the norm, a constant reminder of the cartel's grip on the community. Every town, every village had its own collection of horror stories. Tales passed down through generations, a grim testament to the cartel's reign of terror. But within these whispers of fear, there were also stories of resilience, acts of defiance, small and large, that kept the embers of hope alive. The old woman who refused to abandon her home, the teacher who continued to educate the children, the families who clung together, united in their defiance. They were a testament to the indomitable spirit of the human will, a flicker of light in the overwhelming darkness. Dawn broke over the cartel-controlled town, but it brought no warmth, no hope. The sun climbed its way across the sky, casting harsh shadows that mirrored the fear etched on every face. Life here was a tightrope walk, a constant negotiation with terror. The day began with the usual rituals of survival. Mothers nervously ushered their children to school, their eyes scanning the streets for any sign of trouble. Shopkeepers opened their stores, their hearts heavy with the knowledge that a portion of their hard-earned profits would end up in the cartel's coffers. Farmers tended their fields, knowing that their crops could be seized at any moment, their livelihoods destroyed on a whim. Even the air crackled with tension. Conversations were hushed, laughter subdued. Trust was a luxury no one could afford. The cartel had eyes and ears everywhere. Informants lurked in the shadows, ready to report any sign of dissent. As the day wore on, the tension only grew. The rumble of a motorbike engine could send shivers down your spine. A sudden gathering of men could signal an impending act of violence. Every shadow held the potential for danger, every stranger a possible threat. The cartel's presence wasn't just felt in the fear that permeated the air, it was etched into the very fabric of the land. A visible scar on the landscape. Gone were the vibrant colors of life, replaced by a palette of despair. Fields that were once bursting with life now lay fallow, poisoned by the chemicals used to process drugs. Forests that once teemed with wildlife had been cleared to make way for clandestine drug labs and hidden airstrips. Rivers, once sources of life and sustenance, ran thick with pollutants, their waters poisoned by the waste of the cartel's operations. The environmental devastation was a testament to the cartel's greed, their utter disregard for the land and its people. They extracted the resources, poisoned the earth, and moved on, leaving behind a trail of destruction. But the scars ran deeper than the land. The cartel's influence had warped the social fabric of the community, eroded trust, and sown the seeds of fear and suspicion. Neighbors spied on neighbors, families turned against each other, all under the watchful eye of the cartel. In this forgotten corner of the world, the line between law enforcement and lawlessness was blurred beyond recognition. Corruption was a cancer, eating away at the very institutions meant to protect the innocent. The police, often underpaid and outgunned, were easy prey for the cartel's bribes and threats. Some officers turned a blind eye to the cartel's activities, their silence bought with wads of cash or threats against their families. Others actively collaborated, providing information, tipping off the cartel about police raids, even participating in the violence themselves. The few honest cops, those who still clung to their oaths, lived in constant danger. They were ostracized by their colleagues, targeted by the cartel, their lives hanging by a thread. Their efforts to uphold the law were met with indifference, even hostility. The justice system too was compromised. Judges were bribed, witnesses intimidated, cases dismissed on technicalities. Impunity reigned supreme, emboldening the cartel and further eroding the public's trust in the rule of law. The night air was shattered by the staccato bark of assault rifles, the echoes bouncing off the ramshackle buildings. It was a familiar sound, a terrifying symphony of violence that played out with alarming regularity. This was the sound of the cartel battling for control, their dominance challenged by rival gangs, vying for a piece of the lucrative drug trade. Turf wars erupted with terrifying speed, transforming once peaceful neighborhoods into battlegrounds. Innocent bystanders caught in the crossfire, their lives extinguished in a hail of bullets. Homes riddled with bullet holes, businesses torched, the streets stained with the blood of the fallen. These clashes were brutal, merciless affairs. Loyalty was fluid, alliances shifting with the tides of power and profit. Today's friend could be tomorrow's enemy, and betrayal was as common as bullets. The violence left an indelible mark on the community. Families shattered by the loss of loved ones, children scarred by the trauma of witnessing unspeakable horrors. The constant threat of violence hung over the town like a dark cloud, a suffocating reminder of the fragility of life. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long menacing shadows, a palpable sense of dread settled over the streets. The cycle of violence and despair continued, with no escape in sight. The cartel's grip was absolute, woven into life. The future seemed bleak, hope a distant flicker, the whispers of fear, the echoes of gunfire, a chilling reminder of the human cost. A testament to the cartel's reign of terror. But even in such adversity, the human spirit endured. Acts of resistance emerged from the shadows. The teacher who refused to be silenced, the doctor who risked his life, the families who clung together. They were a beacon of hope, a testament to resilience. Their fight, though often invisible, the human spirit refused to be extinguished.